It's peculiar writing about an episodic game as it releases on a weekly basis. Usually I wait until the whole thing has been released and barrel right through it, but at the same time it's quite pleasant to have something to come back to every week. We return back to the story of Resident Evil Revelations 2 with a huge twist thrown into the mix as Barry continues his search for Moira and Claire, while on their side of the story they try and figure a way out of the island. The second episode is far more exhilarating than the last, with the true nature of survival horror lurking around in Claire's section of the game. It's almost tough, with a scarcity of items and hordes of enemies constantly creeping up. Episode 2 sets a precedent for what could be in store for future updates. In fact, Claire's section was actually genuinely fun this time around. Gone is the feeling of being tutorialized, and instead you're thrust into this manic situation of survival. It's felt like old Resident Evil again. I was constantly hunting for herbs or ammo just so I could scrape through the next encounter. There's even a boss fight that took me multiple tries, but as it was so buggered throughout it, I was shocked when it finally went down. Though it introduces typical series canon fodder, helicopter included, and the gameplay aside, the story for Claire is still something to be desired. There's nothing of note really going on, as any mysteries other than what happened to Claire and Moira are usually explained in passing notes or during Barry's section by Natalia. It's almost a little odd going into playing as Barry, as he's far more equipped than Claire. His side of the story is more subdued. Some kind of stealth is on the menu here, and while it doesn't matter if you mess it up, it's a pleasant change of pace from reloading a shotgun constantly. New enemies are brought into the fray, as invisible enemies will now plague the area. Using Natalia's now useful ability to point things out, Barry can take them down. It's really cool hearing Natalia give you hints as to where it is, and even sounding frustrated that Barry couldn't get the job done.
Down there! Shoot! You missed! Higher! Monster isn't coming.
Raid mode continues to be just as fun, and the added characters from the story are sure to add that extra layer of busy work that has me kept drawn in for the last week while I waited. While the encounters and struggles have been amped up to make the game less of a monotonous stroll through some ugly areas filled with gross film grain, something I've only just picked up on, the story is going places, but it does have this horrific thing of saving everything for the last 20 minutes or so of each episode. Nothing happens and then it all happens at once. Though when it finally does show its cards, Resident Evil Revelations 2 is something I'm now desperately looking forward to for the next couple weeks. I just wish it knew how to dish out these extra plot points a little bit more evenly.
Well, this should give us a whole lot more options.